Sometimes the life that looks extraordinary from the outside is carrying pain no one else can see. And sometimes the experiences that break us open become the very source of our purpose. Today's conversation is about resilience, self advocacy, and the courage to question the systems, patterns, and expectations that keep us stuck. It is also about learning to listen to our bodies, our minds, and the deeper voice within us that knows when something needs to change. My guest, Miriam Putnam, has transformed profound personal loss into a mission to help others reduce stress, reclaim their energy, and rise into a healthier and more purposeful life. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan. This show is all about bringing hope, connection, awareness, and wisdom through meaningful conversations that inspire us to be better versions of ourselves and have a positive impact on humanity. This is your space to pause, reflect, and reconnect with who you are, what you care about, and who you want to be. We have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. My guest today is Miriam Putnam. Miriam is a certified wellness coach and freedom from stress counselor with 25 years of holistic mental health advocacy. Coming from a lineage of pioneers and innovators, her family founded Crayola Crayons and Putnam Publishing, with her great step-grandmother being Amelia Earhart. She admired innovation, courageousness, sense of freedom, and challenging the status quo. Miriam's story is ultimately one of turning profound personal loss into purpose. After losing her mother following a difficult experience with mental health treatment, she spent 25 years exploring how people can build greater resilience, reduce stress, and create a healthier relationship with their body, mind, and overall well-being. She's currently working on a master's in public health and writing a book on her journey, slated to publish fall of 2026. Miriam, welcome to the show.
Dan, well, that was such a nice introduction. And I literally, after you introduced the show, I wanted to jump right in and say something about how awesome it is that you have this platform and that you bring people together in alignment to talk about purpose and how to make our mark and bless others with whatever wisdom we may have in order to build a brighter future. It sounds like you're working really hard on that. So it's fantastic. You're doing this. I appreciate being on the show today with you.
Thank you for all of that. We are aligned. We are aligned with the work we're doing, and I believe the shared purpose we have. And I've been looking forward to this conversation, particularly learning more about you. And we have to start with your lineage, just because it's fun and exciting, and it's your story. And of course, everywhere and anywhere we come from impacts us. So let's first start with, well, I guess we have to start with Amelia Earhart, who you unfortunately never got to meet, as many of us. Let's start with that before we get to the other entrepreneurial efforts, the big ones that shaped my childhood, which is like, what was the lore about Amelia in your family?
What was the what?
The lore. The lore.
The lore.
Yeah, lore. I mean, like, to me, she's always larger than life when I think about her and I see the pictures of her and the images at the airports.
Well, courageousness, fearlessness, and a sense of freedom overall, and that you can do anything you set your mind to. Because I think that she is an American symbol of that for men and women. Just, to do something for the first time ever as a woman, and then to be flying across the Atlantic Ocean before really, there's only one person before her that did it, right?
Yeah.
Charles Lindbergh, I think it was. And so overall, it was just that, reach for the stars.
Literally and figuratively. So just, I just got the chills just reading about that. And again, thinking about her, because when I do, Burbank Airport is one of the airports where I see her often when I'm flying there. I mean, she's in so many, and it just, I just get the chills every time I think about it. So,
right. She's like a really big symbol of hope in America.
Yes. Yeah.
Hope
So how did
and
that
just reach,
yeah.
reach for your dreams and just do it.
And your family has done that. I mean, Crayola Crayola crayons, right? Like what person, I don't know how many generations like has not been impacted by that. So what was that like growing up in a family that created it?
Yeah. When you grow up with it, it seems so normal and not like a very big deal. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't like it was positioned as a place of power. It was just, it's very normal. I understood that, Crayola Crowns is a very big, internationally understood and well known company. And I loved learning about the story and how it was discovered and how it first was, the black charcoal. And then her inventor husband figured out how to put the colors into the charcoal. And she was a teacher. I mean, she was just a normal, regular person, just exploring creativity and interested in, like your show, bringing wisdom and creativity and enhancement to a child's life. And that's how the colors were, the born into the Crayola crowns. And this is
Man,
a
I
few
mean,
generations ago. But yeah,
yeah, I mean, just thinking about you have your little packs, and then gosh, if you were ever bestowed, I don't know, was that the 64 pack with like the
yeah.
three or four,
Right. It was a big deal.
yeah, like it was such a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Uh-huh.
that's so good.
Yeah. So
And of
good.
course, publishing, that's less of a childhood memory, but as an older memory, I mean, Putnam Publishing, a significant publishing house, and you are writing your first book, so
Mhm.
that's got to be full circle for you.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's really a pretty cool
Yeah,
experience. My
yeah.
aunt wrote a book about actually my family, like the older generations, and how my great grandfather fell in love with Amelia Earhart and sold his half of Putnam Publishing and died really searching for her. It's a tragic love story because
Mm,
he funded her trips across the Atlantic and wrote books about her travels and things like that, and fell madly in love with her. And then, as we anyone who knows her name knows that she disappeared, and it's a
yeah.
tragic story. Um, but yeah, so it's exciting because my aunt wrote a book about that whole lineage side, and then I'm going to write a book about what it was like kind of growing up with that lineage and the money that was in the household, and how I learned at a very young age that money does not buy happiness. I know a lot of us that are purpose seeking and better life seeking and not as materialistic as a lot of individuals seem to be now do understand that fact overall, but living in a materialistic culture, capitalistic society that we do in America, most of us tend to get caught up in it very easily. But since I grew up like that and watched the way the story unfolded for my parents, it taught me a lot of powerful spiritual lessons very young.
Mm,
That, just because you have the best insurance and just because you are connected to these powerful lineage or powerful people that have lots of money and have connections, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a cookie cutter storybook life, And so I think for me anyway, growing up with that sort of dichotomy of this, you think, okay, everything's going to be great, right? You have all of this, like world is your oyster kind of thing. And like the,
hmm
the embedded philosophy in our household, even though I grew up Presbyterian, was still go out there and make your mark on the world because of the sort of lineage that was in my family. But then when tragedy strikes and things unfold, one realizes that you still have to get through the trauma and pick up the pieces. And it's the inner strength and the resilience and the determination and the fight. I didn't realize
hmm
necessarily when I was younger that the fight would be
Yeah,
that big, but
yeah.
it did. It ended up being like that. So anyway,
Well, and
that was
you come by it honestly, that fight and that resilience. and it is what fuels you. And so I've been looking forward to asking you about your mom
Yeah.
and to tell us about your mom.
Yeah, well, still to this day, obviously, I miss my mom dearly. We were very, very close. And so even today, I'll have thoughts like, God, I wish I could call her, you know? It's it's not easy as anyone listening, and I don't know how many people you have lost that you love that were close to you, but they always are with us in our heart, in our mind, in our soul, so to speak. And she was this gorgeous spiritual being when I was younger. She was sort of this quintessential mom, right? The one that you like, you think I would love to have a mom like that. Well, I had that sort of mom, the one that wakes you up singing in the morning, makes you oatmeal or makes you waffles, takes you to school, goes to your practice. And then when things started falling apart, it was just around the time when she had lost about 3 people close to her,
Mm,
and my parents were having marital issues, and there was some drugs being used in the household, and just as a lot of people use medications and drugs for coping mechanisms, and it began to spiral because she was in her late 40s, and so it was around the same time as like hormonal shifts. And then that was before our time of integrative and functional medicine being at its like booming, or more individuals interested in it and seeking like a more holistic or healthy route. So doctors back then, this was like 30 years ago, well, not quite that much, but almost, were just prescribing medications and diagnosing. And so it was just one diagnosis after another. And so this beautiful soul then became a vacant shell of what she once was. And it was pretty tragic, honestly, Dan, to watch somebody that you admire kind of crumble, so to
mhm,
speak,
mhm.
like have all of the effects of the medication, right? Like you can get rashes and you have sleep issues and you have weight gain and your hair can fall out. And she was more of like a yoga type of Christian, very hippie-esque. She
Mhm.
liked Native American culture, and she liked learning, Judaism and the Torah and going to Israel, and really just like she identified with, you know, the God in you. And that's
Yeah.
really kind of how she
Sounds very
was.
spiritual. I mean, like spiritually first almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. She was totally spiritually first. And so when this started happening in our family, it really kind of wrecked us. It was because the moms in a lot of way, I think, are the cornerstone of households. Like even
Yeah.
though maybe they're not always in the forefront, maybe the guy is in the politics and the guy is the one, out earning money back then, right? But she really was, because she was the homemaker and she raised all 4 of us, and she was the stable person always at home, and then it just wasn't like that anymore. So it was definitely an earth-shattering experience to go from really having a mom to then not having a mom that is supposedly diseased. And I think for
Mhm.
me personally, the toughest part of that was wrapping my head around how is it possible that she's being diagnosed and prescribed all of these medicines and there is no test. Because even back then I've always been pretty intelligent, and so I would just ask the psychiatrist, well, isn't there another option? And how do we prove this? How do we prove
Right.
this chemical imbalance? And I'm sure you probably know that still to this day there's no proof of that. And so that's why, and that's how, and that's why I got into doing what I do on, you know, mentally and spiritually helping somebody cleanse themselves when the body health is there.
Mhm. Oh, I know you just summarized a long and painful road. Um, and I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm sorry
Oh,
for
well,
that.
that's super sweet
Yeah.
of you, Dan. I really appreciate you saying that. But it did break me back then. It definitely broke me. It was heartbreaking. And to go through the experiences of trying to figure out where my mom is, right? And if we have to hire a private investigator, or is she still in the hospital, or if she managed to hire an attorney and she's out and now she's in another state. These sort of experiences they're not things that I would wish on my worst enemy, to be quite frank, and then on top of it, if it actually was effective and it worked, if the person went into the hospital and the person got out of the hospital and they were themselves again, then it would seem like, okay, I guess it's worth it to go through it. But since I know firsthand that it doesn't work, unfortunately, the system is a bit broken, and
Yeah.
it's just unfortunate.
For clarification, was she put in a mental institution?
I was in about upwards of about 20 from Florida to California.
Wow. Wow. Right.
I
so
didn't
when
always visit all of
Yeah.
them. I didn't always visit all of them. It was pretty heart-wrenching experience. I was actually living in Los Angeles and going to Northridge. And my little sister went to University of Miami, so my mom was usually down there. So I would just fly LA to Miami and help my sister with my mom.
Yeah. So when you do speak about the system being broken, this is the context of the mental health institution, the mental health system, and the system that unfortunately is limited a lot of the time. And we question whether it's harming. I mean, like, you go in for treatment, and then the question is, not only ideally you get better, as you said, but often we know that there is more harm that comes out of these places as well.
Yeah. And that's how I became such a strong advocate, from watching the experiences, or watching what my mom would go through, and watching and experiencing the doctor advice and not seeing the solution occur. But it's a very scary situation for families, right? Because when you love someone and a doctor is telling you, if they don't take this medication that has all of these most likely effects that are going to occur, if the individual doesn't take these medications and they're going to kill themselves, that's very scary to hear.
It's very scary, or that they're going to kill themselves, or going to harm someone else, and it's not that. And often those statements might be true. On top of it, right? It's not just you need to do this or else. It's like there is some concern that could happen, and then it's like, well, what is the other alternative? Like, what else does one do in that situation?
Yeah, right. It's true. Very true. Yeah. I mean, I work with individuals on creating a plan, and I do advocacy in this area of how we are going to improve human rights in the area of mental health. And, I'm also a guardian ad litem, and I do foster kid advocacy and things like that. But overall, in my specialty and my virtual coaching and private practice, I'm focused on a reset and rise program. So my advocacy efforts is on the improving the system side, but who I am as a professional in practice is not necessarily focused on that area. It is on professionals and entrepreneurs that are interested in getting to their next level, because that's what I did. That's how I saved myself, is putting myself through a big detox, putting myself through a reset and rise, in order to get to the point where I could be that person for somebody, so this wouldn't have to happen. Because if there are individuals that are educated and understand the inner workings of how the system works and what's going on with someone, body, mind, and soul, then you and your loved ones can avoid the tragedy of a hospital. I mean, obviously we need hospitals because emergency care is absolutely necessary. You fall out of a tree, you want to go to emergency care, right?
Yeah. When you were putting yourself back together, let's just say, when you were in your recovery from all of this, and you were on your own journey of health and recovery, what was like, do you remember one of the first most significant things that you discovered that that you still use in your work today? Like, you're like, this is a game changer. And I'm also guessing it was not that complicated, in the sense you're like, this is not rocket science, people.
Yeah. Right. This is not, yeah, exactly. I love that question, Dan. And I use it still today, and I'm happy to share. One of the major sort of hidden elixirs that exists now that wasn't very understood back then is a very good comprehensive blood test, because about 80% of the time, I sometimes say higher, but I like to be at least a little conservative and say 80% of the time, if someone has mental illness symptoms they're experiencing, something can be found in the body as an undetected body health condition. It is either allergies, it is a liver toxicity issue, it's a bacteria, it's a virus, it is a neurological breeding sort of problem. There's parasites. There's always something in the body that's creating the fluctuations of hormone, creating the problem of like not being able to sleep. And obviously, if there's emotional things on top of that, then the whole thing is exacerbated, right? And it just looks like this mess and it's on fire. But taken in stages of, where is the body health at? And let's address that before we jump into a lifelong journey of medications. Because emergency medications is fine, but right now we don't have long-term studies on psychotropic medication. So it's a bit daunting to think about what the future holds with this many millions of kids on psychotropic medication in our nation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think back of early training, and when we're in those early differential diagnoses classes and learning the DSM.
Yeah.
And the classic example of, you're in the ER and this person comes in and they can't breathe and they're sweating, and their heart is beating out of their chest, and what is it? And so we know that panic attacks, of course, are like one of the primary, one of the highest incidences of emergency room visits are panic attacks.
Right.
And yet on the outside, it looks exactly like a heart attack. And if you're having one, you think you are dying and having a heart attack. And how do we tell the difference? Well, you actually run a test. Yeah. Actually run a test to determine which one of those two things it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, tests are telling. Tests are telling.
Well, so with let's go a little farther with the blood test, because I know a lot of people, this is new information to them. And that is that the standard tests that most of Western docs prescribe are sort of the usual panels, which are all really important, right? And it's important to get those yearly, everyone. Like, it's really important to get those. I know from our family who has gone through all of this, the type of tests that you are talking about are more the tests usually that the functional medicine docs or the alternative medicine people prescribe. They're often, unfortunately, not covered by, most of them are not covered by insurance, which then, of course, creates this barrier of access for many people.
And it's infuriating, Dan.
Yeah. But these are the tests that uncover the parasites, the bacteria, all of these things that do mimic different mental health and behavioral and other other sequelae that are hard to diagnose or to understand.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, for me personally, I went through a terrible health issue many years ago and suffered from neurological Lyme's, and doctors couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I mean, I was literally having seizures, and doctors were trying to put me on some scale and a DSM or some medical code. And it wasn't until I was able to get out of the hospital and go to my integrative doctor and get the 18-page comprehensive test to figure out what in the world is going on. And luckily for me, I was already an advocate. So I knew there was something in my body that hadn't been detected.
Yeah.
So for me, it wasn't going to get me. I wasn't going to feel like I have some diagnosis that I have to deal with. I was just set on figuring out what's happening with my body so I can, get back to normal. This is many, many years ago. But if someone is actually committed to that path of finding and figuring it out, then it's possible. It's not always easy.
No, but it's what's important for everyone to hear. What you're saying is it starts with questioning. Well, this is what you do. You question, right? You question the status quo, and you come from the lineage of people who are like, we could do things a little differently. And it's like, it's questioning, and it takes a lot of courage to question the status quo. And we know that our medical system is a big machine. And yes, it helps a lot of people. And it just misses a lot. And there's a lot of people that don't get care or don't know what questions to ask. And I have found that humans are getting more and more complex. We know our environment is getting more and more complex. The toxins are getting more and more complex. And as a result, people aren't fitting in these boxes. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it does get to this extreme place, and you're trying to get people, you're trying to get people to thrive, right? You're not trying to just like save. You are ultimately trying to save people, but that's not where you're wanting to start. It's like, let's start when you feel like this. So talk a little bit about what are those human signs, those human messages that we get when we have an opportunity to go on this exploration for health, and to ultimately soar is the goal.
Yeah. So when I usually meet individuals is when sometimes it's when they've tried many other things and then they're, oh my gosh, now I don't know what to do. Please help me figure this out. But a lot of times, like you're talking about the triggers, right? Because I am a de-stress specialist. I help somebody go through a transformation. So one of the individuals that I love dearly and I'm working with now, in a working relationship, they were going through bouts where they weren't sleeping as much, right? And when that starts happening, this is one of the pillars of body health: sleep, exercise, and nutrition. It's pretty basic what we need for our body. And usually when sleep starts decreasing, it is because stress in one's life has increased. So it took us a couple weeks and then they were sleeping again. So these little triggers can be, or these signs can be telltale signs, or maybe it is that you've noticed that your fuse is shorter, meaning you're getting upset when you are in the car, or different things like that are happening. Or maybe it's been going on for a while and you have a kind of a bad relationship with your kid. I'm a good person. Me and my team and I are good at coming in and obliterating the dysfunction or the issue so that calmness.
Obliterating. All right. You're not coming in softly. You are destroying. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not for someone that, I guess, has the pretense of wanting their life to get better.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So, yeah. What I do, it only works if we're in a pair and if we're doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really good at helping somebody debug something, figure it out, and I do a lot of advocacy with individuals as far as what do you want to say to your doctor, right? I'm not a medical professional. I have a medical sort of certification, being certified through health and wellness sort of branch of the medical crew, but no medical degree, right? So I don't get into giving medical advice, but I help somebody find their own their own truth. I'm really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, I don't give a program out and say, here, follow this, follow this, follow this, follow this, and now you're going to be great. It's tell me how you feel about it. Tell me what has worked before, and tell me how you think we might handle this, sort of like just talking through possible solutions, and then someone choosing their direction, because that's really the only way things work in life. And you probably have firsthand experience in this. Someone tells you, okay, you love red and you're going to wear this red shirt every single day. And you're thinking, no, I'm not, because I only like to wear black shirts. No, you're going to wear this red shirt every single day. Well, then you're miserable because you want to wear your black shirt. You don't want to wear the red shirt. I mean, this is a very silly example that I'm giving, right? But we see a lot with like husband and wives and kids, with parents who are trying to control, and, you know, the stress just goes back and forth. And, you know, then we have like the whole, you know, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. Right. So it's good if somebody can just set like healthy boundaries, learn how to speak up for themselves, think of how they'd like to handle it. And then, you know, we just put order that helps the stress levels come down.
From disorder to order.
Yeah.
And you do, I mean, your stress abatement, that's my word, but your stress healing and your stress, anti-stress, de-stress teaching, it's at the cornerstone of what you do, right? You see, and we know that stress causes inflammation, right? So the stress causes the physical and medical issues that lead us to the medical world, where then we get a lot of intervention when it's really about peeling all of the layers back to deal with the stress itself.
Yeah. So I'm always about like, where's the root? Where's the root in the body health? Where's the root of this in the mind health? Where's the root of this in you, your soul, like your purpose? Like if your purpose is to be living in Africa and, you know, helping orphan kids, and you're going to a 9-to-5 job every day because your wife doesn't want to move to Africa, then, you know, we have a little disconnect here. So one of the first things as far as soul health is the purpose. So I love that you're constantly talking about purpose, because a spiritual being is never really happy unless they're living in their purpose.
No, and the other thing that it sounds like we share in our work is helping people listen to themselves, because as they say, our body keeps a score, and our body is always giving us messages, right? Just like, okay, tell me how you feel going to work 9-to-5 job versus going to work in a national forest, or like whatever those like right away. For me, it's my chest. Where do you feel it in your body? Like, where's your indicator in your body? Do you have a spot where you
do have a spot?
Yeah.
Sometimes I get chills on my arms.
Okay. And it's a chill, which is that your positive or negative response?
Well, it's when I'm excited about something, or when something rings true, sort of
it
like
fires
spiritually
you up.
speaking.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that's so key, right? Helping people listen to themselves, right? Because
I mean, right, because we get into this, and I don't know necessarily how it started, but culturally speaking, it might come from just all the religions of the world, of just wanting to serve each other and help each other and make the world a better place. Like, I think it comes from a really good place, but if we're not nurturing ourselves first, and we're always trying to nurture others, then we have to either make sure that someone is around us nurturing us if we're always wanting to serve, or we have to schedule soul health time. That's what I put into the program, is that if, you know, you're always giving, then fine. If that's what makes you happy, then great. But which day of the week are you going to give to yourself?
Soul health. I like that. Soul health. Talk a little bit more about soul health, because I want our listeners and watchers to really tap into this right now, this whole idea of soul health, because I feel like it's behind everything, is
Totally.
listening to those deeper callings of our soul.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you, Dan. I do. I really agree with you. So one of the ways I like to describe this like ethereal concept, right? That I'm 100% behind. I know that I'm a spiritual being. So it's not ethereal to me, but sometimes I think it can be a bit like that as a concept, right? Because we're so used to living in our bodies and with the people that we know and love. But tell me, have you ever had an experience of when you meet someone at a conference or some work event and you think, wow, it's like I've known them before.
Totally.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And those are amazing experiences, right? It's like you just
Hmm.
know that you're at the right place at the right time, meeting the person that you're supposed to, and you're supposed to do whatever you're supposed to do with them, right? Maybe it's just a great conversation. Maybe it's follow up and do some cool work thing together. Who knows? But you just know when it's happened, right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So one of the concepts about soul health that I help others understand is that if you imagine that we all have like a bucket of, I don't know, I mean, you're a dude, so it's kind of funny to say to you, but we can pretend it's like glittery wood dust. How about that?
Thank you for accommodating to me. Yes. Okay. So you're being a little gender specific here, right? So you would have a bucket of glitter, and I would have a bucket of glitter wood dust. I'm with you. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
work? It works.
That works. That works. Yeah.
Okay, good. So we have maybe there's like a million chips in there, right? So we imagine that we're carrying it around in our hand, and there are some people that will be around us and they are bucket dippers. So they're taking that positive energy or that glitter or those wood chips, they're taking it out for their own sustenance, for their own spiritual health. It's kind of like a little bit like an energy vampire, spiritually speaking, right? And so if someone has a lot of energy vampires around them that are taking their positive energy wood chip glitter out of their bucket, then by the end of the day, they are going to feel more stressed and they are going to feel depleted. And that is just the fact. So the only way to balance that out is to either stop letting people take out of your bucket healthy boundaries or replenish it yourself, because we can regenerate our positive energy by either, I don't know, what do you love to do, Dan? What's something that lights you on fire?
A few things. The thing I think of is being in nature is one of those things, and I guess working in our garden and yard, I guess related. Those
Mm-hmm.
things really fire me up.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And when you do that, do you have your shoes off so you're grounded, or is it just sort of,
Um, well, I'm generally shoes on in the garden or landscaping or running or hiking in the open space. But when I go to our happy place in nature where there's granite rocks, I'm barefoot on those granite rocks.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. So gorgeous. Good. Well, so then that would be something that you probably either consciously or unconsciously, you already do it in order to recharge yourself. Maybe weeks go by where you think, gosh, like I really need to get back out in the garden, or I really need to go for a hike. So it's just being intentional about that, scheduling like on Friday at 2:00, I'm going on my hike, rain or shine, I'm doing it. And so just to really give oneself a chance to recharge intentionally, and then I work out plans with individuals on like, okay, so how are you going to handle that situation in the future? And if it's someone that you want to keep in your life and you just want to distance, then hey, instead of us going to dinner and me listening to you and all your problems all night, we are going to go on a walk at the beach because that's what I like to do. And if I'm going to listen to you and give you my glitter, then I'm going to have to recharge while I'm doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you've talked about them as energy vampires is one way of, right, of people, those vampires that come and they just suck our energy. And at times, and I know I have definitely experienced this too, where it's almost like I'm blaming others for the people that are sucking, the people or the situations that are sucking my energy. And really, when it comes down to it, is we really have to look at our own behavior and our own boundaries or our lack of boundaries or what we keep saying yes to instead of just removing ourselves from situations. Like we have agency over a lot of it.
Right. Because there's some reason why I'm allowing it to occur.
Right.
It's either like a hidden fear, an insecurity, some past experience where you maybe got, really your feelings hurt because you tried to put boundaries, like something happened. But usually once you talk through that situation with somebody, then they can decide what they're going to do about it. But the decision has to come from them. It's never, sometimes I'll say, is it black, white, orange, red? Like, do you like this decision, that decision? But ultimately it has to come from you.
Where do you think, where do you recommend people starting when they're, they have an awareness of I'm not happy or I'm stressed, I'm anxious. I'm not living the life that I want to live or thought I would live.
Yeah.
Where should people start?
So, like, if I was just going to give one sort of, jewel of like a hack, a hack.
Yeah. Give some of your sparkles. Just give some of your
That's cute. Dan, I love it. We're always going to, every time we talk now, we're going to be talking about sparkles.
Yeah.
So I think overall, if it's just sort of how can I control this stress better? How can I feel happier? Then it's going to be the mind muscle exercise that I trademarked. And it is very powerful and it works every time. And if you practice it every single day, then it really helps a person gain more control of their mind and control their emotions more easily. So what my team and I do that's very different from a lot of things in our culture is this is not about staying still and sitting with emotions. It's pretty progressive and more of like an action-oriented de-stress coaching. So you write down your most happy memory. And so, Dan, for just to entertain your listeners, tell me what yours is.
My happiest memory, like ever?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't necessarily have to be ever, right? Because there could be people listening. They're like, you better say me.
Okay.
Just choose one.
Yeah. A happy memory. Let's think of a recent happy memory. Okay, a recent happy memory is very recent. My wife and I were at our family cabin in our sacred place in nature, and it was one of those rare times. It was just the two of us, and no one else was there. So it felt magical.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. How long ago was it?
This is last weekend. I'm being really recent.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. And do you remember what day of the week it was?
I do. It was Friday, mostly Friday and Saturday.
Okay. Cool. And can you tell me what you see when you felt the most happy?
Yes, I see a lake. I see the mountains, and I imagine my bare feet on that big granite rock.
Gorgeous. And at that moment, do you feel, what sort of emotions do you feel? Do you feel serenity? Do you feel peace? What are you feeling?
Those are good words. Yes. Serenity, peace, awe, and gratitude.
And gratitude.
And connection.
Yeah, and connection. That's gorgeous. And so you see a lake and you see in your feet, you're grounding, right? And you say you're grounding? Yeah.
Yes.
And do you hear anything? Anything stand out?
I hear those birds and those little squirrels and chickadees and the raven flying
Oh,
overhead, squawking.
ah.
Yeah.
How fun. That's really fun. And anyway, so what we would do is we would talk about it for a while until and maybe you already started feeling happier just even thinking about it. And so this gives you a way, gives me a way, gives anybody a way to rehabilitate their happy moments so that the bad part of the mind isn't squashing you or
Mm-hmm.
me or
Mm-hmm.
anyone. So it's not all the pressure at work or whatever the family issues are, maybe the aunt's in the hospital, the kids failing at school, whatever, like, got to change jobs, got to move, right? Because we all have stressors in life. Like life is constantly filled with stressful situations. It's just how resilient are we, really?
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
resilient are we to be able to go through the stressful experiences and then make it out the other side for a long period of time? Like that's really what my
Yeah.
team and I are specialists in at. So once a person gets their happy memory, right? And it could be for someone, it's like when they graduated with their, some extremely awesome degree that they worked 12 years on, right? And they're on stage and they're getting a diploma, right? For somebody else, maybe it's when they got this huge pay raise that they'd worked so hard on, right? So for each person, it's going to be different, but usually it comes with either they're with someone that they absolutely love or they've worked really hard to achieve something. You know, some people have like a childbirth as
Mm-hmm.
their sort of one
Well,
of
and
their
it
happy
shifts,
memories.
right? It shifts what you just did. Like you shifted my state. You helped me um, switch my state, and obviously, I was having a enjoyable experience talking with you, anyways.
Yeah.
But you took me to another place. Like, I mean, beyond that place that I was in, and I could smell it and I could feel it, and I was
Yeah.
smiling and I was going back to those positive feelings. And so, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like very active. And when we're in a place of depression or anxiety, getting ourselves or you or your team taking someone through this exercise,
Yeah.
it changes
Yeah.
something.
It changes. And then the more often that we do it, and then when I meet somebody in person, then we do it in a very like a more intense way so that we
Hmm.
can actually get rid of some of the stress that causes that loop. But yeah, just exercising the mind muscle is such a powerful little hack that I think it's pretty easy to start with, and some people will say like, "Oh my gosh, there's nothing." Right?
Yeah.
It's nothing. And
Right.
so it can take like 10 or 15 minutes of me talking to
Hmm.
somebody to, draw it out of them. Like, really?
Hmm.
Like nothing? Like you don't remember ever really like that you liked playing baseball or, you like doing this or you like doing that. Usually there's something, right? And eventually we find it. And once we find it, it's sort of like a puzzle piece to the mind is giving like a puzzle piece to the soul to like
Hmm.
open up some positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like
Mhm.
that. Um, so I knew that we had in my mind, I'm like, I think we have, I could probably ask one question, maybe two, but I have to pick a question. And I was stuck between two on my little notes right
Oh,
here.
yeah.
And this is what's so beautiful about what just happened.
Oh,
I was like, I want to ask her about the mind muscle exercise. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to just hold off on that. And I'm gonna ask Miriam what is a place for people to start. And guess what? You answered both of them in one response.
good. Then it was perfect. It's almost like we set it up, Dan.
Yeah, the total setup. Total setup. Well, there is so much to talk about, and there's so much to your approach. And so please tell people where to go. Your website is full of resources,
Mhm.
some of which you have talked about and more. So please tell everyone where they can find your resources and learn more about you and your team.
Yes, so there are complimentary downloads on miriamputnam.org. So miriamputnam.org. You can send me a message. You can download free complimentary PDFs on there. And we have an advocacy PDF that gives somebody sort of the hidden jewels on mental health wellness journey, like a vitamin company place that's in Canada where somebody can get the support and help with psychiatric medication, a connection to Mind Freedom, which is a nonprofit that goes into those sort of rights. Anyway, there's a lot of advocacy tips on that sheet. And then there's a sleep download for somebody who's having trouble sleeping that comes with the whole entire checklist and way to make your own sleep routine. And then an overall wellness checklist, just sort of little hacks that I put together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And of course, they can learn more about your coaching and your services.
Oh, well, yeah, by all means, of course.
Yes.
I'm here. If you're looking for a real transformational journey and you're ready to rise into your next level of life and you're sick of being in a loop, then my team and I are probably what you're looking for.
Not a pretend one, people, a real one.
Yeah.
A real transformation.
Yeah, it's not like a 7-day vacation where you feel good for 7 days and then you go back home and then you feel like, not good anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Miriam, you've lived it, right?
Yeah, I lived it.
And you've done it. And that is what makes it so real.
Yeah.
And I know that fuels your purpose.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just want I feel like I'm serving humanity by filling a void, right? And
Yes.
Talking about a really tough experience is like near and dear to my heart, losing my mom, and then my whole holistic mental health journey and figuring out what I did and how can we solve this thing of unhappiness or constant stress or maybe just feeling like you're stuck in a loop. Like, how do we do it?
Yeah. Well, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Miriam, thank you. It's great meeting with you, connecting with you, talking with you. And I'm glad we're connected.
I know, me too. Thank you so much for having me on today. I look forward to maybe another conversation in the near future.
Sounds good. Miriam turned her personal suffering, her profound loss, and her life experience into her purpose. Here are 5 key takeaways from our conversation. Number 1, the appearance of success does not protect us from pain. Money, opportunity, connections, and accomplishment can never replace inner stability, meaningful relationships, and emotional well-being. Number 2, stress often speaks before a crisis occurs. Difficulty sleeping, a shorter temper, strained relationships, exhaustion, and feeling disconnected from your life may be signals that something needs your attention. Number 3, healing requires us to consider the whole person. Our physical health, emotional health, relationships, environment, and sense of purpose are all interconnected. Asking thoughtful questions can help us better understand what is happening beneath the surface. Number 4, boundaries are an essential form of self-care. We may not be able to control the people who drain our energy, but we can take responsibility for what we continue to allow, where we invest our time, and how we replenish ourselves. And number 5, positive memories can help us strengthen our mind muscle. Returning to a meaningful memory through sight, sound, sensation, and emotion can help interrupt a stressful mental loop and reconnect us with peace, gratitude, and possibility. We are interested in what you think about this episode, so please feel free to leave us a comment at Dr. Dan Peters on Instagram or reply to any of our social posts. Please share this episode with anyone and everyone you think will benefit. Thank you for being a part of our amazing community and bringing your people to us. Your 5-star reviews and your subscribing really make a difference. And as always, we have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. This has been a Peters and Rossi production. Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan is produced by Amber Miller. Our engineer is Phil Rossi. Theme music is Uplifting Folk by Awesome Music. Artwork by Kelly Dwyer. Follow us on social media at Dr. Dan Peters. For more information, visit drdanpeters.com.